we're still sharing lots of the content from it. So we had a big push over the weekend itself, but some of that's still coming through. So we're still seeing a big increase in lots of those reach through social media as a result.
I think the next opportunity for us to really measure the impact will be the residents' perception survey. So we'll have last year's figures and then we'll be able to compare, and there'll be some very specific questions in there around Step Forward Luton. The other key document, I know you said taking out Radio 1, but the other key document for us will be that economic report from that weekend. So some of the questions in there include, did you see the Step Forward Luton branding? How do you feel about the town? And that's both internally and externally. So visitors that come in and those who are residents have answered the survey. We know about 5,000 people have completed it so far. We've also got the Festival Makers survey coming back to us. So that will really help us in terms of that perception piece and the reach of Step Forward Luton. And I'm more than happy to bring that report back to Overview and Scrutiny Board if that would be helpful.
To seeing it, Sinead, although this is a good start, but what is our end goal and objective, and what are the milestones that we're going to? So we need to know what that journey looks like, and then we need to start looking at what exposure we've got, how many people are now truly on board on this journey, and so we need to know what that art of possible is ourselves, and we need to then start achieving it. And I think that would be helpful.
Yeah, so we've got the ambassador board and their role is very much about driving that forward. As you know, from when we first set up Step Forward Luton, it was agreed that council officers and councillors would almost take a step back, and that we would let ambassadors and the other residents and other businesses take that step forward and lead the campaign, because we didn't want it to feel like a council campaign. I think one of the things we want the ambassador board to do is take more ownership of this in terms of what are they setting as their goals and their metrics, and that hasn't been agreed yet. So we will take that back to the board and say we need to be really clear about our outcomes and our measures around where we're going. So we need to build that evidence base. So where we were last year in terms of the perception survey, the number of members, how many people are joining our social media, how many people are attending our events. So we've got those key performance indicators that we can share with you at a regular basis to say, this is the progress we're making, this is where we're going. And the next step for us as well is to include Destination Luton. So how do we build visitors as well as residents enjoying some of those things in the town? So we started with place and invest. And I think you're right, we need to agree those measures, because we've got some measures around social media and events and things, but we want to do wider. So the investment, how many investment people are contacting us, all of those are coming forward and they'll be presented as part of the 2040 updated work streams. So what I'm trying to say is that it is coming, it is there, we're still on a journey with it. It's been a year of, we feel, great progress, but you're absolutely right, we need to be clear about where we're going from this last year. It's been an evolving process. It's been pretty organic. We're only a small team, and with Radio 1, it's taken a lot of our time. So I think over the last 5 months, we've been very focused on trying to deliver that, which I think everybody will agree was a massive achievement for the town. And we had hundreds of thousands of people in our town, as well as watching it via social media. So I think we can be really positive that that was a good direction of travel for us to go, but we want to keep up the momentum, and that will be our focus for the next 6 months. Where are we going? Having a clear plan that we can report back to members with a little bit more detail under those.
Can I just ask a question from the chair? Where do I see what the objectives were for the whole programme, with the dates of when we were aiming to get them? And where do I see the statement of what progress we've made against each of the objectives? Where do I see that? Because speaking personally, I don't know where to even find them.
So for the Step Forward Luton information, it's all on the website, and it's all set out under place and invest in terms of what we're trying to achieve, what the mission is, what the role of the ambassadors are. So it is all there in terms of on our website. There's lots of it on our social media. if members feel that we need to do more, absolutely happy to take that back and do some more content creation for members or more information for members. It's I guess the challenge we have is that marketing, you could spend millions on marketing to really reach everybody you need to. And as I say, we've been doing it pretty organically with a small sum of money, a small team, and very reliant on the ambassadors to drive it forward.
Out of my members of OSB, how many people know what the objectives were? Anybody, and whether they have seen how far we've got to date? Can I ask if you show your hands if you are very clear about what it is we've got?
The reason I know because I was part of leading it, so I don't know about this.
That's more encouraging than I thought. Thank you. Yes,
I recall when this first came to OSB as a concept, it was suggested that taxi drivers picking up people from the 3 railway stations and from the airport could in fact be quite useful ambassadors. I haven't heard any more about that since. So is that a suggestion that's been taken up? If it has been, has it worked? Anything else on it?
So it's in our programme of things to take forward. When we looked at the costings, it's quite expensive because we needed to support the taxi drivers in terms of giving them marketing, putting some collateral in the vehicles themselves. So if we get some more funding, then absolutely we'll explore that with them and take that forward. But at present, we're a bit restricted on actual spend on marketing collateral. If they're able to do it for free, of course, anybody who's able to do it for free, because they would be ambassadors.
Sure. I've spent all my life in marketing, my career, much of it in international marketing. I'm not clear through the campaign of what it is, what the objectives are and what it's trying to achieve. I'm also concerned when it says that the councillors in the office decided that they'd just stay in the background. I don't remember being asked if I want to stay in the background. In fact, we are losing, in part, a lot of skills that councillors who've been elected, who have been in all their lives in Luton, have not been able to kind of add into the programme, if I'm really honest. The other thing is, I remember, Sinead, that I asked in the beginning to get the names of the ambassadors from you. It's gone up to 50 now. We still haven't had that information. And I think that amongst the councillors here, they probably would have some good ideas on what kind of people would make good ambassadors, because they've spent all their lives actually here. And actually, many of them have been quite a long time on the council. So we're losing impact, part of that impact. I think this thing about being kept in the background, I had to ask you if I could be invited to the investment meeting that took place. I don't remember generally any of the other councillors being invited to that important investment meeting that took place at Luton Hoo. So why would they be kept in the background? The only councillors I saw there other than myself was I think the leader was there, and I think James Taylor was there. But again, we're missing out on the fact, because I don't even know what the outcome of that was. I mean, how many investors have we actually encouraged to invest in Luton? And then, thirdly, one of the key things that's a detriment to actually trying to impress inward investors is the state of the town centre. I mean, it's deplorable. I can look back probably in my early days of being at the university when it was a thriving town. There was thriving music industry around the town, many music bars, many nightclubs were available. There's nothing in the town now. And what we're just opening up is a number of cheap, buy one under £1, whatever, the cheap pound shops that are taking over our town centre. Until we can actually show some impact, that there's something about a vibrancy about the town centre, a vibrancy about Luton, we are never going to go anywhere forward. And that should have been one of the central aims from the beginning. Rather than waiting for this town centre thing, we should have actually started that a long time back. Because when we can bring people into the town to a conference, we can show them, and yes, it was the BBC One event was a success. But it wasn't bringing the investors into the town centre. And if they came into the town centre, they'd probably take one look at it and walk away, because there are other more vibrant cities around the UK where they could put their money into. And until we actually sort out the stage, till we sort out the town centre, we're going to be up against a losing campaign. And even marketing is not going to overcome that, if I'm honest, Sinead. So I think there are some serious issues behind all of this. We need to be more open with the councillors. I'm against this silo thing that I've talked about earlier on, that officers doing things in a silo and not involving the councillors who've spent their lives here, who know what the issues are, who know what improvements we should make to actually try to encourage investors to come into the town. And I will pick up more on that when we move into the next issue which you're going to introduce.
Thank you, Chair, for allowing someone else to have their say, not to have the debate dominated by a few of us. So, yeah, I think one of the reasons, so when I was the mayor recently, I was invited to a lot of the events, and I understood why. Because the thing is, if you want to attract investors and engage the public, if it's being fronted by politicians, I'm afraid that puts people off. So and also, if you're not aware of what they're doing, I've got the Step Forward Luton website. It's open. There's all the information that you could ever want is on there. And it's pretty straightforward. But I was aware of the Invest in Luton event. But the thing is, if you generally want to engage with stakeholders and investors, and if it's a room full of politicians, I'm sorry, that's going to put people off. So, I think, in as much as we all want to be there, I think we've got to understand that if we want initiatives like this to be a success, we need to be having those ambassadors that reflect different sections of the town, not just the politicians.
You're suggesting just politicians.
Sorry, Councillor Stevens, can I not be interrupted, please? Sorry, can I?
He let you go in. I'm just.
Sorry, I've listened to you, Kev. I've listened.
I didn't get an answer to my question about.
Can he not, Chair? Please, can I not be interrupted?
Just a time, please.
Thank you, Chair. Now, yeah, thank you. So I did interrupt you, so please, yeah, well, it'd be good if you listen to each other, yeah. So the thing is, I think that's I think that's one of the reasons, perhaps, why the ambassadors are not, councillors, because I think it's about impression. I think we ourselves separately outside of Step Forward Luton can do our bit in terms of encouraging further investment into the town, and improve continue to enhance the image of the town, because it has been remarkably improved in the last 12 months, and I think the Radio One Big Weekend was a large stamp of approval in terms of how far the town has come along, and in as much as we would like to have come to the town centre, I think the town centre can't hold 100,000 people. So, and in terms of the number of the kind of shops that are here, I think that's just free market capitalism. It's just the way the markets are operating. So I don't think, in as much as we would like, we can't really influence the kind of businesses that are there. So we should support, in as much as we can, initiatives like Step Forward Luton, where the ambassadors are from the different sections of the community, so that when we are trying to attract inward investment, they are engaging with different people from different fields. Thank you, Chair.
Can I just clarify something? I was not suggesting that the councillors become ambassadors. I was suggesting that the councillors should be invited to what are important events. I bow to your greater knowledge of marketing if it is better than that I have, but I don't. I wait to see if that is the case. But that wasn't what I was suggesting, and I think anybody would say, and it was even in the peer review, that something has got to be done about the town centre. You cannot invest. You could not bring international investors to come over to the UK and invest in Luton with a town centre and all of the area around, which is fairly desolate at the moment. It does not give a good attraction for Luton at the moment. And I'm sorry if you think that it has. You think there's been an improvement in the last 12 months, because I do not see it.
Can we come back to
For the record, Sir Chair,
I'd like us to come back to the report that we have in front of us, and for us to reach a view, which is, we have the report in front of us, which is talking about the overall programme for Step Forward Luton Progress Report. Do we have enough information so that we understand what that report is, and are we happy with the direction of travel?
Just one comment.
Yes, Councillor. Short, please.
Yes, short is yes, I am. Please sometime be positive about this town. I'm very proud of it. I've lived here since 1969, and this town is one of the most best town. Yes, town centre needs improvement. We've got a master plan for the town already. Let's not make a political debate every time. Run it down this town.
Thank you.
When you benefit, it is this town that give you the honour to be sitting in here.
Thank you. Okay. Yes.
Thank you, Chair. I lived in Luton for 30 years, and I would just like to say thank you for everything that's been done in the last 12 months. We have spent as a family more time in Luton, engaging with the Culture Trust, Step Forward Luton, and all the wonderful other activities which are coming forward. So it's a personal observation and a thank you from a resident of Luton. There's a long way to go still, but I think you've got a great plan. You've got some people behind you who are putting hard work and effort into it. I acknowledge the fact that, you know, we as a town have problems and issues, but I think this is really working well. So thank you.
Thank you very much. I think you're still in the chair for the next one. So we're on to item 10, which is on 149 in your papers.
Did you want to manage it in the same way that we just go straight to questions, or did you want me to cover anything?
Straight to questions. So who wants to start me off this time?
More than happy to contribute. A civic agreement is a great thing. I think, you know, two big institutions need to come together to make improvements, whether it's, you know, research and development, whether it's nighttime economy, or looking at, you know, investment framework. And I think, you know, it's a good thing. I think that we need to coming back to the town centre. There is a piece of work that I think you are working on it, but I think we need to put some more effort on it. Nighttime economy matters. It's virtually dead here, and I think if we can jointly do something and look at how we can enhance our master plan and feed into the local plan, I think that would be great. You know, I've just recently went to Leeds. It was in worse place than Luton Town. I was amazed. On a Wednesday evening, I walked for a mile and a half. I could not get a space at any one of those restaurants. It was that buzzing. And I thought, wow, if they could do it, we could do it better. And that's the ambition we need to have. And I think all of this needs to link in. And if we can have something behind it, it will work, I think.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. As head of business and economics at a local high school, which includes the teaching of marketing, I've had regular interactions with people at the university, and I think part of this should be, you know, trying to increase the number of students at the university that come from Luton. So in terms of delivering the vision for the town, trying to encourage the university to recruit and attract more students from within Luton. My oldest child, he's a graduate of the University of Bedfordshire. So because he's got developing career in aviation, so they were able to meet his needs. And I think we should have our aspirations and trying to encourage more of our school leavers and college leavers to look at University of Bedfordshire as a genuine option for them, so they can continue. So we don't kind of have a brain drain of the town where they go study somewhere else and they just stay there.
I think, Sinead, I think there are opportunities more than so far in what could be done. The University of Bedfordshire has agents throughout the world. It's an opportunity to actually use those agents with information about the town and trying to encourage and promote the town overseas. Secondly, there are trips throughout the year to many parts of the world. It might be opportunities at some point, maybe to send somebody with the visits that go overseas. Again, to use that as a way of promoting Luton, and I'm sure that the new Vice Chancellor would have some possible interest in looking at that. There's also Department of Trade and Industry funding quite often available, and there are often visits that take place where educational institutes, as well as the town and its industry members, could go along. So I think there are opportunities of using this civic arrangement by actually making some use of what already exists within the university for the benefit of the town and the council, and for promoting the town going forward into the future. And I think that's something perhaps it might be worthwhile having a look at.
All really good comments and suggestions. We've done 12 months of the programme with the university. I think there are lots that we can still do. We're at very early stages. The next steps for us are really about how we work across the system. So actually, we've got some other amazing anchor institutes in Luton that we need to bring into this programme to really elevate it. The football club is one of them, the hospital, some of those who are already doing good work around that, like keeping the spend in Luton as well as something we need to do. We need to set up a new anchors framework. So there's a number of things that we need to progress, but I'll feed in all of those comments and suggestions back to the university, who have been really good partners and completely open to working with us and driving forward 2040.
Ask you a very specific question on item 20 on page 151. You've said in the report that you're currently looking at the work programme for the next 12 months. When are we, as an OSB or as councillors, going to see what that work programme looks like?
Yeah, I had contacted Eunice to ask if it was possible to delay this report so I could bring the draft annual programme and the annual review here, but she said it because we'd already been delayed that you wanted the item to come here, which I completely understand. So it might be that I could bring something to the next OSB, so you're part of that. I think that there's no intention to keep it from members. It's just about the timeframes and how we can report in. So if there's something that we can do in between meetings that works for OSB members, more than happy to do that.
Thank you. I'll ask Eunice to agree something with you, and then I'll make sure that members know, because we would like to see what that programme is. Yeah.
One important question is about the wider participation of our employers, particularly the corporate world in our town. I know since I left, there was a way we try to engage through Skills and Education Board, and I hear that even that is not well attended. I think there needs to be a piece of work, Sinead, which other than us, because we've been trying and we haven't quite got there. We need another partner who engages with the corporate world, the small, as much as small as it is, they bring a lot of value and a lot of clout and a lot of access for us. And I think we need, through this exercise, need to engage such as Capability Green, whether it's Butterfield. There are a lot of medium and large size employers that haven't come on board, and we need to do something with that. And they need to feed in to what this town centre should look like as well.
So we are just about to refresh our inclusive economy strategy. And again, that will be coming shortly to OSB. I need to add that to the work programme. And that's going to be a really significant piece of work. It will look at the next 7 years about how we grow our economy, but how that's really focused on the social impact as well. So how do our residents really get the benefits of what we're doing through an inclusive economy? So I think that will really help with taking some of that forward. It will look at our key USPs. Are there particular markets we're missing out? Are there opportunities that we need to progress around our sectors? So I think that will really help with taking that forward. We're just about to begin work on a new business board that replaces the SEMLEP work. So obviously SEMLEP no longer exist, but one of the key strands that come from government is that they wanted the voice of business to still be really important in terms of driving forward the region. So that's something that's been led through West North Hants, who now lead the LEP work. So I think that's an opportunity for us again to look at that sub-regional working and making sure that our business voice is represented, and obviously our chamber as well. But you're absolutely right, Councillor Khan, we do need more of our businesses to engage on this programme.
Thank you, Sinead, and thank you very much for holding the fort for two successive items. Thank you very much for the effort that you put in. We look forward to it because I agree with what Councillor Mahmood was saying earlier on. I also believe Luton is a good town to live and work in. So, item 11, local plan review.
Sue Frost and
Sorry?
Sue Frost is taking and Sonny. And Sonny.
Doesn't look like Sue Frost is taking any part in it.
Oh.
Well, welcome. I'm so sorry that you've been sitting there so long.
Can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah,
Let me try this one. Good evening, Chair, members, everyone. Just introducing myself to those that might not know me. I'm Sunny Sahadavan, Head of Planning here at Luton Borough Council. I'm introducing Chris Tom. He's joined us recently. He's the Planning Policy Manager. In view of the time, rather than go through any sort of lengthy presentation, if members feel it's better that we go straight to questions, we're happy to do that.
Are we on questions? Because yep. Okay.
as you've got the microphone, you can start.
Fine. Simple question. Can we please be assured that this process is going to result in the council having the ability to limit the number of HMOs in any one street or area, and limit the number of hot food takeaways near schools and colleges?
Yes, I'm happy to respond on that. This item itself is just to agree the local development scheme. Effectively, it's a program for delivering a new local plan. So that's the item before members today, well, this evening. In terms of the various topics, we as officers fully recognise there are some very pertinent issues facing the town that members take a lot of interest in, and as part of this programme we will be seeking to fully engage with members and other stakeholders to inform the new local plan policies as we develop them in accordance with the LDS programme.
Excuse me, but was that a maybe?
I think that was what's in front of us is not actually the detail of what will be within the new local plan, but this is the timetable for producing it, was what I took the answer to be.
I think I do understand that. The point I'm trying to make here is all the way through the process of producing the current local plan, attempts were made by members to limit HMOs and hot food takeaways, and either no one was listening or nothing happened. So I promise you that I'm not going to miss any opportunity to raise those issues again. I would like to go away with some assurance that somebody is listening and that there is a chance that at the end of it we might actually achieve something.
Thank you. I'm sure that that's the case. I understand that you're on the local plan review committee yourself, are you not, Councillor Franks?
I am indeed, and this issue was raised and has been raised for year after year after year at those meetings, and nothing happens.
Okay, we'll make note of that and we'll come back to that when we look at the way in which the plan is progressing. I don't, in order that we try and bring it back to the development plan itself, perhaps it would be good if I were to ask just one or two general questions concerning your plan timescales to put it into context. We are required as a local authority, as I understand it, to have a local plan. It says in the report that we are required to update the local plan. We are in breach of the legal requirement to update the local plan. We are already late, let alone take several years, which is what this plan is suggesting, to actually bring the plan up to date. I think that the plan as it's put forward to us in this paper is almost at the point where it's a disgrace. It is such a leisurely process to produce a new plan, which should have been done already. We should have had a revision. We should be putting out annual schedules of housing land allocations. The last one went out years ago. We are in a no worse a state than many other councils, I will admit. But quite honestly, the plan that I've seen in front of me, from my perspective, looking at it, is a complete disgrace.
Thank you. I can understand your frustration, and I did pick up on the lateness myself. And I think where I'm coming from is, look, you've heard all this evening, and everything comes back to the planning and aspiration and what our vision is going to be. We know our constraints. Housing is a major one, and if we are a London borough, we need to plan like a London borough. So we're going to look at how we're going to go, how wide. We haven't got a choice. And within that, how healthy are we going to keep our people? And again, that comes down to licensing, of course. So, this is our opportunity of just agreeing a process, but a process that is listening, but at the same time visionary, and just takes the town where it needs to go. Yes, we do understand that you've been under a lot of pressure, constraint, and with staff as well. But we can't have that. I've been hearing that for past 13 years since I've been in the council, that you're under extreme pressure, you have less staff. But we need to, as a council, need to decide if planning is going to be very important for us, then we should be, or the CEO or the ruling party need to be investing into planning and giving you the resource that you need, and to produce the ambitious plans or process that we deserve. Thank you.
Sonia, just a very simple question. Is there any reason why under 11, so the second point on item 11 on page 153, is there any reason why we are not taking it up to March 24? Because that would be the nearest, that would give us the most up to date. So this is on the authority monitoring report. It says it's going, I think its work is currently undertaken on an AMR for the period April 22nd to March 23rd, 2023. But is the information not available up to March 24? So that's quite up to date.
Thank you. Yes, the monitoring report we're working on at the moment will cover the period up to the end of March 2024. But the annual monitoring report is effectively 18 months behind the year where it finishes. So the 24-25 report will follow on a year after that report is completed. So there's always a bit of a time gap before the latest AMR is produced and published.
Okay. And could I just ask, has most of the evidence gathering taken place? And that was on page 154. And has most of the initial internal and key stakeholder engagement also taken place? Because we're in June now, and it said it was running up to July 24.
In terms of the evidence base, it takes quite a long while to collect all of that for the local plan. So the main period of time that will be occurring will be next year, feeding into a draft plan that will go out to consultation at the beginning of 2026. So it's a continuous process that we have to go through on that to inform the strategy and the plan. And it's similar with the consultation process as well. It will be a continuous consultation as we go through the process. You can see in the report there's a number of stages where the public are involved in the consultation. The first being at the end of this year for the issues paper, an 8-week consultation. And as I say, there'll be following consultation periods later as well. In the period in this year running up to the end of the year, we'll also be involving members as well in terms of informing that issues paper. So we've got workshops planned with members, and then we've got some training that we're arranging next week. And then we'll be taking the issues paper to the executive at the end of the year. So there's lots of opportunities now for members this year to be involved in feeding into that issues paper. And then, as I say, the public following on afterwards to comment at the various stages.
Ask you, I mean, obviously, Chair has said, and is it right that most local authorities are a couple of years behind anyhow? So it's nothing new for Luton. So it's not, in terms of resources, I think that needs to be put into it. But these dates you've got in terms of the consultation and the period, it's all statutory. You have to do that because you need to consult properly. Otherwise, the inspector will not accept any of those things. So it isn't, even with our full plan that we done, taken many years before we came to the finally agreeing to it in, I think it was 2017. So I think these are consultation process. So these dates you got is got to be done. Am I right in saying that? Otherwise, they will not be accepted because it has to be consulted with the developer, and they can come and object to at any stage.
Yeah, that's absolutely right, Councillor Hussain. There are statutory stages that we need to follow, and you have also touched upon a very good point about the delay with the current progress with the local plan and the LDS. It's a combination of different issues. One was resourcing. Other issues include members may know that the current local plan relies on both our immediate neighbours delivering some of our housing for us, and in both cases, Central Beds and North Herts didn't adopt their local plan until 2022. So we were, in essence, waiting to see the outcome of that before we could make meaningful progress. Unfortunately, that also, apart from having a deficiency in terms of resourcing, that also coincided with central government proceeding with the planning reform, which is mentioned in the report, and that created uncertainty in terms of whether we should pursue the long-standing regulations of delivering a new plan, or wait and see when we had more details about the new regime the government was promoting. And so that uncertain, what officers didn't want to do was spend council resources pursuing a regime which would then be obsolete, and it would amount to wasted resources. So I think we, along with most other authorities who are in a similar position, have been waiting to see if we have more details around the new regime. And of course, now an election's been called, and that creates further uncertainty. But you'll notice from the report that we produced, we have very carefully positioned ourselves, and the work we're currently doing is in anticipation that that won't be wasted work in terms of the evidence gathering, and it can shift to whichever regime ends up being the one we need to follow. And also, in terms of the plan being out of date, officers are very heartened to know that our policies are holding up on appeal. So every time there is a planning appeal against a decision we make, the existing policies, though out of date, get tested, and we've been reassured that pretty much most of the policies are being upheld. And I can also add that we're currently working alongside officers from DLUC who have taken an interest in our programme, and for the time being they seem satisfied that there's nothing to be concerned around in terms of our programme and our timing and our direction of travel. Thank you, Chair.
Can I just add, I think in light of, and to my mind, that was the most sensible thing, because twice in the last 2 years, the present government had changed the guidelines as well, planning guidelines. And likelihood now is the new government will change the guidelines. And would that cover the duty to cooperate? Because one of the duty to cooperate was our neighbors were supposed to give us some housing number. We haven't got a damn thing yet. So hopefully the new regime, whoever it is, and we know hopefully it is the one that makes the local authority, neighbouring authorities, force them to give us those housing numbers, because otherwise we are not going to get anything. Because we haven't managed, since I was on the core strategy with Councillor Franks for many years, and after 2 years of wasting 2 million of taxpayers' money, we never got a single house. So that to me is a serious concern. I hope we get something now from our neighbours in the foreseeable future.
Can I ask another question? The end result of the plan that we have in front of us is that effectively the review that was supposed to have been completed in 2021 will effectively be 7 years late. 7 years late. We're supposed to do an annual monitoring report. If I'm correct, maybe memory's gone, but I think the last one was about 2019. We're supposed to do an annual one. We're supposed to do an annual strategic housing and availability assessment. The last one, I think, was 2 or 3 years ago. I really don't think that this plan represents what we need to be doing as a council. I really think, given all the issues that we have on housing, that we ought to actually be getting on with doing this a lot quicker. I do understand that central government has been throwing spanners in the works all over the place. It still hasn't made up its mind what it wants to do on planning regulations going forward. But 7 years late? I really don't think that's a plan that we should be signing off as a board. That's my personal opinion.
Chair, he just explained to you, until our neighbours can agree, there's no point us agreeing the plan. 2022's North Hertfordshire agreed their plan. We had to do that after them because they are promised us 1,450 houses. They never gave us a bloody one.
Councillor, we're talking about the report that's in front of us. I don't know if you're aware of it, but one of the inputs to North Hert's plan was in fact the housing unmet need of Luton, and was an input from Luton based upon data which was at least 3 years out of date when they were given. So you need to be careful about the context of talking about us and associated neighbouring authorities, because a lot of the reason for their delay has been because of our failure to update our plan.
Good afternoon. Sorry, good evening. Well, that's wishful thinking, I think. Apologies for that. Yeah, Sue Frost, I'm the Service Director for Sustainable Development. Amongst other things, planning is within my area of responsibility. And I just wanted to clarify, really, with regard to the timescale. I understand why you're frustrated, why plans take this long, but we are bound by regulations and legislation, and I sympathise with the council in terms of the time it takes. But if we are not careful, we don't go through the correct processes in the correct way, advertise it in the right way, consult in the right way, we could be open to challenge, which could delay the plan even further. Many of plans across the country, in fact, are subject to challenge by developers, and we just need to make sure that we comply exactly with all the requirements that we're supposed to, and the inspector is satisfied, because if we don't, by the time we get to examination, the inspector could throw the plan out altogether. So whilst I understand your frustration with the planning system, it is something that is outside of our control, unfortunately, and we will do our best to speed up the process and do things quicker if we can. But this is a timetable that we think is realistic, and we will, as I say, try and speed things up if we can, but we want to make sure we don't fall foul of any government regulations or the planet, you know, when it gets to the inspection, that the inspector doesn't pick us up on some minor detail that we may have missed.
Thank you. I understand exactly what you said. Can I go back to what Councillor Stevens was asking for? Can we please have the annual monitoring report up until March 24? Can we have the strategic housing land availability assessment made available to us, please? Because we know it's done each year. You yourself, Sonny, said that it was done every year. Why isn't it made available? Yourself, sir, you were asked by another council for information of a more up-to-date strategic housing land assessment, and you merely referred them back to the fact that 2019 was the last one, and that you couldn't release them any more information because it was just feeding into the planning plan, the revision of our local plan. That's what you said in reply to another local authority. We are not being very helpful to our adjoining authorities.
Just to perhaps explain that issue with North Hertfordshire, the North Hertfordshire raised the issue with us because they had come under some pressure, I think, from people within their own area, residents within their own area, about the allocation to the east of Luton. Now, we provided as much up-to-date information. You're quite right. It was somewhat out of date, but the main point that they have been making is that allocation to the east of Luton wasn't needed to meet Luton's housing need, which fundamentally is a problem for the council, given all the housing issues we've talked about this evening. So I think it's really important that we maintain the position as a local authority that actually we need all the housing on our boundary that we can get, because we can't meet our own needs. You're quite right. We don't have enough land within the borough to meet our own needs. So I think we are working with North Hertfordshire. We're working with them on that master plan to the east of Luton to try and make sure that we do achieve some housing through that process. Obviously we were trying to be helpful, but I think their criticism of the council is that we have actually, that we're hiding information, that we have provided a lot more than we're actually saying. That isn't the case when you look at the types of housing that we've provided and that we have to count as part of our housing supply, which is a factor of office to residential conversions in many cases when you look at the detail. So I think it's quite a complex picture, but I just wanted to explain that for other members of the committee.
Yes, I do understand it's very complex. My own personal view, as I've already said, is I think the timescale is much too long, and I would not be prepared personally to sign it off. I want to know, we're being asked to look at the plan going forward and whether it should go forward to the executive. I personally would like to see us do a vote on this, because I'm saying no, and we'll start from there. So I would like to record a vote.
I move that we agree on the time and consultation, and we get on with it, because it's a legal requirement, and if any delay would be very damaging to the council in terms of trying to agree to a local plan. Members can make their contribution on those that sit on the local planning committee. So I move that.
Okay, anybody second that?
Yep, seconded.
Okay, can we have a vote, please? The vote is that OSB is supporting this plan and its timescale. That's the essence.
Yes.
Chair, do you want me to do a roll call?
Yes, please.
Yeah. It would be much better to do a roll call.
Yes, I'd like a roll call.
Okay. So starting with Councillor Aslam Khan, yes to support and no. Councillor Raja. Councillor White Begum.
Yes.
Councillor Franks. Councillor Franks.
Councillor Franks?
Is that a yes?
No.
Councillor Fry. Councillor Gallagher.
No.